and as someone that you roped in early on in my time as Prime Minister, I can testify to the energy, the dedication, the commitment this man has to you and to this ideal. You have changed the lives of so many people for the better, and for that, we all owe you the deepest debt of gratitude. Thank you, Harry. My friends, thank you again for a captivating, mesmerizing, and memorable week of sporting excellence. Best of luck. We'll see you in Birmingham in 2027. Thank you. Merci, mes amis.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, hosted by Adrian. Today's episode is a heartfelt tribute not just to a man, but to a mission. A mission that has united nations, healed wounded souls, and redefined what leadership looks like. We're talking about the Invictus Games, and the extraordinary force behind them, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. From the front lines of war to the grand stage of global recovery, Prince Harry has done what few could, turned pain into purpose and adversity into action. And now the world is taking note. So sit back, relax, and let's celebrate the true legacy of a man who didn't just walk away from royalty, but walked into something much more powerful. Let's begin with the powerful tribute that moved thousands, if not millions. At the closing ceremony of the 2025 Invictus Games, held in Vancouver and Whistler, a former Canadian Prime Minister took to the stage and said these words to Prince Harry. "To the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, without whom the Invictus Games would never have happened. You are the one who turned this incredible idea into a reality. You have changed the lives of so many people for the better. And for that, we all owe you the deepest debt of gratitude." And as those words echoed across the venue, Prince Harry stood there emotional, humbled and visibly moved. This was not a moment about protocol, about pomp or prestige. This was a moment about impact. This tribute wasn't just a thank you, it was a recognition of a decade-long journey. A journey that began with Harry's own military service and the mental and physical scars he witnessed firsthand among fellow soldiers. From that pain was born a global movement, the Invictus Games, which has gone on to uplift thousands of injured service personnel from around the world. But what's even more compelling is how this event, founded on healing and unity, has become a source of national pride, economic benefit, and global solidarity. Let's talk numbers. The 2025 Invictus Games in Vancouver and Whistler were not only a symbolic triumph, they were a tangible success. According to the Invictus Games Foundation's official impact report, the Games generated a staggering $86.1 million in total economic activity across British Columbia. Of that, $81.3 million was centred in the Vancouver region alone. The net economic activity, an impressive $72.7 million in GDP. In terms of tourism and hospitality, $3.9 million came from visitor spending, attributed to 5,000+ out-of-town attendees. Around 1,000 new hotel room nights were generated, 434 jobs were supported, and workers earned $36.5 million in wages and salaries. All of this because Prince Harry chose to act on an idea inspired by compassion. Tourism Whistler and the BC government could barely contain their excitement. Their public statements were filled with praise, not just for the economic benefits, but for the emotional legacy the Games left behind. The Invictus Games brought jobs, tourism, and leave a legacy of support for adaptive sports. Now that's something to cheer for, said the BC Government News. What does this tell us? It tells us that the Invictus Games aren't just for veterans, they're for communities, for cities, for countries looking to invest in something meaningful, something that brings both healing and prosperity. Now let's contrast that with what's happening elsewhere. 4 countries are currently competing to host the 2029 Games, drawn by the undeniable success of past editions. Meanwhile, the Commonwealth Games, an institution traditionally championed by the British royal family, is struggling to even secure a host for 2026. The difference is telling. It's not just about money, it's about relevance, heart and global connection. Prince Harry's Games are now seen as more impactful, more cohesive and far more respected on the world stage than the ceremonial, disconnected events of the traditional monarchy. And now, some within the royal circle want in. The British media, long critical of Harry's departure from the institution, are now pushing hard for other royals to get involved in the Invictus Games. There are even laughable attempts to suggest that Prince William somehow co-founded the Games. Let's be absolutely clear, he didn't. Prince Harry created, championed and built the Invictus Games from the ground up. It was his vision, his sweat, his relationships with veterans that shaped this success. And for 10 years, he nurtured it through pandemics, through public scrutiny, through a media onslaught. And now, the royals who skipped the 10th anniversary are suddenly interested in appearing at the 2027 Games in Birmingham. But let's call it what it is, PR opportunism. If they attend, it won't be out of love for the veterans. It'll be for cameras, headlines, and an attempt to hitch themselves to something successful, something that Harry built without them. But amidst all this noise, one family stood by Harry and continues to do so. We're talking about the Spencers, Princess Diana's family, Harry's real family. At the 10th anniversary celebration, when King Charles and Prince William were noticeably absent, Aunt Jane Fellows and Uncle Charles Spencer showed up in support. There was a moment when Harry was seen embracing his aunt and uncle, and you could see it pure, genuine love. There were no press gimmicks, no carefully staged smiles, just family celebrating one of their own. Even more touching, the Spencers had also travelled to California to be with Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet. They were present at Lilibet's christening and have consistently supported Harry and Meghan through difficult times. One user on X put it perfectly. The Spencers were the only family members to show up for Prince Harry's 10-year Invictus Games anniversary in London. That's real love. And it's true. When Charles Spencer clapped back at tabloid journalist Amanda Platel for spreading falsehoods about Harry and Meghan, it wasn't for clout. It was a brother defending his late sister's son, a man calling out lies when the rest of the royal institution remained silent. So who should be at the 2027 Games? The answer is clear. The Spencers, not the opportunists. The Spencers have proven their loyalty with actions, not just words. They've shown up again and again when others couldn't be bothered. They care about Harry the man, not the title. That's what the Invictus Games are about. Authenticity, connection and purpose. It is a sacred space for healing, not a stage for royal image building. Let's remember, none of the so-called working royals have ever produced a project with the global, emotional and financial impact of the Invictus Games. And that's why they're circling it now, because they see its power. But the world sees through it. People know who the real architect is. So yes, let's hope that in Birmingham 2027 we see the people who matter. Veterans, survivors, families, and the few loved ones who have stood by Harry not because of the spotlight, but in spite of it. Prince Harry has done something historic. With vision, empathy and grit, he turned the Invictus Games into one of the most meaningful platforms of our time. And while some may try to ride its coattails, we'll always remember the truth. Thank you, Harry, for giving veterans a voice, for reminding the world what service really means, and for building something that will outlive all the palace headlines. This has been Meghan and Harry Tales, hosted by Adrian. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you want to see at the 2027 Games? Should the Spencers be front and centre? And do you think the other royals have any right to be there? Until next time, take care, and as always, keep rooting for what's real.